Hello, my name is Dmitry. Welcome to the DPLABS channel. Today I will be telling you all about various hand prostheses, including both the advanced bionic and the practical functional types. So let's dive in. I'll also share a little bit about how it actually happened that I now have to use these prosthetic devices. 4 years ago, as a direct result of a very unfortunate accident, I completely lost my entire left hand and also severely injured my right hand. On my right hand, I am currently missing significant parts of the finger phalanges. Everything gradually recovered. 3 months after the incident, I realized that I needed a prosthesis because it's very difficult to manage with just one hand. Even doing basic things like putting on socks is hard, and it's very important for a person to be able to take care of themselves. So I started looking into bionic prostheses. Now, I'll tell you what I've learned over the past 4 years. What kinds of prostheses I have, what their capabilities are, how much they cost, how you can get partial compensation from the government for these prostheses, and other nuances of using them. I think you'll find it interesting. My first prosthesis, which I've had for 4 years now, is from the German company Ottobock and is called the myofascial. It's one of the mid-level prostheses in terms of functionality. Its main advantage is its high gripping force and great durability. The gripping force of the fingers is 100 newtons per square centimeter. So I can pinch someone pretty hard. That's very important. Its durability is also a key feature. During use, I modified and repaired it myself. I'll talk about that in more detail later. The total cost of such a sophisticated prosthesis with its complete installation here is approximately 1.5 million rubles. Let's explore how it actually works. It has 2 myosensors. A myosensor is a sensor that reads electrical impulses from muscles. One is on this side of the arm and the other is on this side. Since I still really have some remaining muscles, I cannot actually control it directly. I imagine as if I'm just moving my wrist in this particular direction and then in that other specific direction quite naturally. Accordingly, the electrical impulses are read. And depending on their inherent strength, through operational amplifiers and other essential electronics, they are precisely sent to the servo motor. There is a small servo motor located here. And as far as I currently understand, this system employs proportional control. Besides moving quite quickly, I can also make it move very slowly. But now, after a significant 4 years, I can control it quite well. At first, it truly takes a very long period of time to get completely used to this particular situation. I wore it for about 2 weeks almost without taking it off, just to get used to it. Because at first it felt to me like it was just a stick. Now I can drive a car, an ATV, or a snowmobile absolutely calmly. I can show you its internal structure. How is it attached to the hand? There is what's commonly called a socket. It's primarily made of durable fiberglass and is carefully molded from a precise cast of the hand. There's also this kind of soft, protective rubber sleeve. It sort of holds it firmly in place a little bit. And this particular thing here securely fastens it, pressing it ever so slightly in this specific area. Well, in general, it's actually quite difficult to truly take it off. That is to say, I can lift approximately 8 kilograms and the hand absolutely won't fall off. The socket is a stump receiver. There are 2 myosensors, one located here and another one positioned here. If we simply touch the myosensor with a single finger, the hand immediately starts to move. So, if I gently poke it a little bit, some electrical activity promptly appears. And basically that's the fundamental principle upon which we operate. So in principle, there's nothing complicated. Yes, it's reliable and practical. But for some reason, it's very expensive. That's it. There's also a small battery. Once you truly get accustomed to working with the hand, the battery typically lasts me for about 2 to 3 full days. Yes, it's reliable for active work. But if, for example, you ride an ATV, then it lasts about a day, because you often have to squeeze the hand. As an example of the hand's amazing capabilities, that is, it's strong. This chair, it's heavy, weighs a few kilos. Well, probably about 6 kilos. Yeah. So here I am holding it with one hand. Oh, it's heavy, to be honest. I can help myself grip it, and I'm definitely holding it. Yeah, but you actually have to get very used to it because I shouldn't really strain my forearm too much, otherwise the hand might let go quite easily. So basically, for everyday normal life, it is perfectly fine. For example, I can easily pick up a cup. I can even just toss it over to this hand. So basically, you can very easily pick it up, I don't know, perhaps pour yourself some refreshing water and then have a nice relaxing drink. But of course, all this takes practice because you won't be able to do it like this on the first try. Because the hand moves, I might spill it on myself. So it's good when you have the other hand. Yeah. And the very same principle absolutely applies to a kettle. It's quite easy to simply lift the kettle. So, there you have it. Well, that's absolutely all there is to it, really. It actually works quite pretty well indeed. Basically, it can firmly grip something and then perform tasks. I use it very often. Sometimes I even do something in the workshop and the shell quite often gets damaged. Just so you understand, the price of this shell, I don't know why, but now I've found a Russian manufacturer. But from OtterBox, it's 12,000 rubles. That's very expensive because it's really easy to damage it. It's just a polyurethane glove. That's it. Now there's one from a Russian manufacturer, but it's actually pretty hard to put on. Thickness off. Russian manufacturer, 5,000 rubles. So the consumables are actually quite expensive. Well, another thing about the demonstrator is that it's hard to do things with just one leg, like putting on a sock, for example. Yeah, so, just a second. But in general, they're fine, the fingers are clean. Now imagine, you have only one hand, and you're trying to put it on somehow. Well, technically you can manage, but it's really not convenient. When you have a bionic prosthesis, these routines are no problem at all. You just pick it up and put it on. So, for an individual, a person with disabilities, though I don't really like that particular term, to be honest, it's very important to be truly able to take good care of yourself because it's quite hard to even adjust things with just one single hand. So of course, it's not a complete or full replacement for a real natural hand. It's very hard to replace a real hand, but this is a very good tool. And what else do I want to show you about its strength? Very few prostheses can withstand this kind of stress. I weigh 98 kilograms. I can stand up and even do push-ups on it. Over time, my stump got used to it, and I don't feel any pain or discomfort. But of course, it's better not to do this, since you could still break it. Well, in principle, you can. So, let me tell you a little bit more about the other prostheses that I currently have. This particular one is the one I wear most often, primarily because it's truly the most practical and also the most incredibly durable. All right, let's proceed to show you the next one now. This model is called the Autobot Michelangelo. It's supposed to be their very newest development. Here it is. It costs about 2.5 million rubles. What are its advantages? It has 2 grip modes. I'll show you now. It has very good error correction. That is, there's no interference from the sensors. In other words, it doesn't react to external vibrations. How can I explain this to you? Let me show you an example with this one to explain what this correction means. For example, I might grab a mobile phone and then start gently tapping it with my hands. And because of the unexpected vibration, it might accidentally trigger by mistake, or it could potentially drop something important. Tap-boom. Here, there's a post-processor. It already has a microcontroller installed. They use analog controls, and everything works much better. But there's a huge downside. It's big. Yeah. It's very heavy and large. Well, kind of large. This one weighs about 800 something grams, or approximately a kilogram, and that one is about 1.5 kilos. But when you're constantly walking around, you really feel it. Yeah. I've already sent this hand in for repairs 4 times, but that's my fault. Apparently I break the fingers off, or sometimes something else just isn't strong enough. Now, I will clearly show you exactly how it is quite different from this particular hand. Alright, I've switched the hand. There we go. Let me get used to it for a second. Because they all operate a little differently, and it's hard to switch instantly. So, what's the advantage of this hand? The speed of operation. Watch this. It has a fast movement speed. Very fast. Secondly, I have 2 distinct grip modes like this. Grip mode. And now? And this kind of grip mode. So, great. This is the grip mode. That's what I call it. This is the give me a mug of beer mode. So basically, all right. Now, okay, the mug of beer mode, like this. All right. And the second mode, grip mode. I often call it the for drinking beer mode. So it's quite comfortable to hold like this, you see. And here I can easily bring my card up to the reader, unlike with that other hand. It holds well. I can also do it like this. So it's very quick to control. There you go. But it's a bit heavy. Really? It looks like this. Take a look. This hand is like a club for me. One was bigger than the other. And here. What else is good about it? Well, the speed of operation. It has very good correction. Well, few errors. Also the price and durability, since I lead an active lifestyle. For example, working with it using an angle grinder. For example, if I try something like that, well, it's really better not to, because it often breaks. I've broken off the thumb, for example. Well, all sorts of things have happened to it. Everything has already been replaced here, and repairs for it are not cheap at all. This hand has a built-in battery. It has Bluetooth, but it uses its own proprietary protocol. I asked for the software, but they didn't give it to me. You can only do it through the service center itself. They, well, set it up for you without any problem. You get different parameters. Well, it's a more modern hand. But it's more for calm people, I'd say, even for the elderly. And it's very convenient for knitting. I guess you could do that with it. I don't know. But I kind of decided to buy it anyway, to check it out, and start using it when mine breaks down. I have to walk around. So that's how it is. I'd like to draw your attention to the fact that, in general, this particular polyurethane socket is made quite well. And many people, if they don't look closely, don't even realize I have a prosthesis, especially when I put on a tattoo sleeve from AliExpress. But that's because this elastic band doesn't look very nice. And as a result, to many people, it just looks like some random guy with a tattoo. A tattoo sleeve costs 100 rubles. You can buy them in bulk. That's my little know-how, wearing it with a prosthesis. As for the problems with wearing it in general, at first, initially, your skin, since it's not used to wearing this stump socket, might get inflamed and so on. But I decided to just let it be for myself. The body gets used to it. At most, I would apply dexpanthenol at night, if there was irritation. And then it got used to it. In the summer, I have to take it off and wash it with soap about 3 times a day, because otherwise sweat builds up and there will be severe irritation. But in the winter season, basically no. I consistently wear it from the very moment I wake up in the morning until the day is completely done. Until the very moment I actually go to sleep. I truly think this is indeed the right and proper way to do it, because before that, I used to constantly have these phantom pains in the stump. It's very unpleasant, truly. As soon as I started wearing the prosthesis all the time, apparently something switched in my brain, and it went away. My brain thinks it's its own limb. For example, it's as if it became part of my body scheme. I can even touch myself with it. That is, I know exactly where it is on me. And by a slight, gentle, subtle vibration, because of a slight vibration when something touches it, I can more or less tell what kind of object it is, soft or hard. All of this just comes automatically over time. Even when I'm driving, steering with one hand, I can sense the feedback from the wheel and so on. So somehow all of this just happened on its own. The only thing, of course, is that I can't sense temperature and so on. I think that maybe someday that will come too. So, dear viewers, let's now move on to the next fascinating prosthesis. This particular prosthesis is proudly presented from the esteemed company Bionic. This innovative company is in fact based in England. They have developed their own unique prosthesis. A unique prosthesis where each finger has its own actuator. After that, the company OT-BOG successfully bought it. So now it's something that truly belongs to OT-BOG. But I bought this particular prosthesis from Bionic, found on Avito, from a guy in Chelyabinsk. It cost me only 250,000 rubles, while the official price is 3.5 million. That's it. What's good about this prosthesis? Well, first of all, its appearance. But that's the appearance without the glove. Actually, according to the instructions, you're supposed to put a polyurethane glove on it, not a rubber one. Then it looks just like a real hand. Second, it has actuators for all the fingers. Third, it has rotation. That is, my rotation is manual. So you can do it like this. There is also an additional option available with an electronic electric rotator. But since I am only missing my hand and not a significant part of my forearm, there was simply nowhere practical to install it. Fourth, it has a simple quick release connector. So I turn my hand a few times and I can, well, take off my hand basically, like this. Just like that. In principle, you can attach some other prosthesis here. This is from the company Stipler, which was also bought by Ottobock. As far as I know, this is their own development. This kind of quick release is in fact a unique thing. There are electrical contacts here, and it holds quite firmly, and it's very easy to snap in. You could attach a hook or something else, for example. There, just turned it. That's it, all done. That's it, it's working now. So what functions does it have? Well, as you can see, the hand is a bit worn out. It's 4 years old, the rubber bands here have worn down, but overall, it still works. What functions does it have? Well, it has a standard grip mode like this. It's actually quite easy for her to pick things up with it. The fingers are thin, and it responds very well. The speed is decent. The grip strength is, of course, very good, but for everyday use, it's enough. It's very convenient. I can set the angle I need. There's this operating mode, and then there's another mode that I can switch to. This is a fist clenching mode, and you could really hit someone hard with it. There's a mode, I switch between them with buttons. There are even more modes. This is a mode for the finger. For example, I can press something on the keyboard with it. So there's that mode. Well, basically, yes, it stays the same here. There are more modes as well. I can pull my thumb out to the side. This is done manually, so my hand becomes flatter. There's also this kind of grip. I can also switch the mode. There's a grip in this position as well. Again, I can switch modes with the button. I've got like a light over there, but since everything on this rubber band has fallen off, I don't even know if there's a piece of paper clamped in there or something else. Well, honestly, I don't really use these modes. I usually use it either like this or in a fist, that's it. So, what else did I specifically want to convey and explain about this particular hand? Just so you can fully understand and grasp the concept, even though there is a dedicated drive mechanism for each individual finger, we still fundamentally only have the same two primary neosensors. Consequently, I can only effectively use and precisely control its movements in a total of 3 distinct modes of operation. Either I tense this muscle or I tense that muscle, or both at the same time. So when I tense both, it switches the mode. And I can also effortlessly move it back and forth, quite precisely and proportionally, with great ease. As for gripping ability, well, I don't know. Let's try to lift a chair, of course. Well, yeah, it holds. It actually holds pretty well, but everything here is kind of a bit thin. Look, it's kind of, well, so-so, to be perfectly honest and quite frank. But on the other hand, it's really quite easy for it to pick up various different things. You can, readily grab objects, and you can also pick up cups with it. No, honestly, it's not particularly convenient at all, in actual fact. Their glasses will inevitably slip and slide around while teapots simply sit there, completely stationary. It just pinches onto something with a rather simple gripping mechanism. Overall, the device undeniably works as intended, performing its basic functions adequately, but in my considered opinion, its current market price is excessively high, and the only truly practical and genuinely appealing aspect about it is its undeniably attractive and pleasing aesthetic design. And it also has very low durability, and repairs are needed quite often. Now, dear viewers, let's move on to non-bionic prostheses, like the ones I have, just mechanical or cosmetic ones. These are also sometimes very much needed in the daily life of an amputee, so to speak. So, right now, at this very moment, we are observing. And now I'll tell you about this. Look, I also wanted to explain one more thing. With my type of amputation, only 2 types of prosthetic sockets can be used for hands. This one here, which is below the elbow so that the elbow remains free, and the one with the elbow included. What are the pros and cons? If it's below the elbow, I still have this movement left. But the downside is that the arm sits less firmly here, but basically with this rubber sleeve, it's enough. You saw I was lifting chairs, and in principle, I can lift a bucket of water. If you tense your arm a bit so it doesn't slip out, it's generally fine. With the one that includes the elbow, it sits very firmly, but your mobility changes. That's a personal choice for everyone. I decided that mobility is more important to me, and basically I've gotten used to it. I have 4 more bionic prostheses plus 1 more. They're made in this kind of design. Now, let's move on to other prostheses. So this prosthesis. Well, viewers of Igor Negoda's channel have probably recognized it, though it's gotten a little bit worn out over time. Igor Negoda himself helped with its initial construction. What exactly is this fascinating device? A mechanical traction hand was originally used, which initially just had a simple spring mechanism here. From the well-known Steepler company, Igor thoughtfully replaced the original attachment here with a more versatile ball joint. It can now move quite freely. And he also reinforced the spring. I used this prosthesis for riding a mountain snowmobile. I used it for 2 years, and of course the spring has weakened a bit. That's why it's in such a worn-out state now. But I rode it pretty well, survived, and didn't get hurt. Overall, it was fine. But then I thought, I used to be afraid to ride a snowmobile with bionic prosthetics because I had this idea that if I fell, for example, over the handlebars, I wouldn't have time to pull my arm away and would break it off. But it turns out that flesh is much stronger than metal, because your fingers just slip out, or at most, the fingers on the bionic prosthesis break off. But riding a snowmobile or an ATV with a bionic prosthesis is much better, because at certain moments you can grip better when you need to. So I don't use this prosthesis now, but I still have it. Cheap and cheerful, as they say. I've crashed here, blown myself up, but I'm still alive for now. Removal. Next prosthesis. In addition to my various hobbies, I also do long-distance activities. And sometimes I enjoy swimming quite well. For example, if you swim freestyle, just thrashing the water with your arms, first of all, you'll scare everyone away, and second, it's not very practical. I started looking into whether there are any special prosthetics for swimming. Turns out there aren't any. Basically, swim however you want. So we decided to make something ourselves. We based it on a cosmetic prosthesis. We made it all completely watertight, so the cosmetic prosthesis is basically, roughly speaking, just a simple wooden hand. Double on my... With an elbow socket, we set it up just like this, so I can swim freestyle quite normally and very comfortably. It's pretty lightweight, which is really great. And also, when I go freediving, so I can easily get out onto the pontoon. At the very least, I can securely grab the railing with my hand, or safely hold my mask if it ever comes off. Basically, it's better than nothing, because obviously you can't go into the water with a bionic prosthesis. It would get ruined. It's really surprising that no one on the market, well, no company actually makes swimming prostheses. So if you truly need one, just get a cosmetic one specifically made. It's quite inexpensive and much more practical for actual swimming activities. That's precisely how it is.
The entire process isn't the easiest, especially if you truly want to preserve the animal hides. Hides are really quite expensive after all.
Yeah, the prices are high no matter what the price is. Yeah. So, with Konstantin, I learned long and hard how to properly maintain them, because even just the intricate process of carefully stretching the hide is a whole art in itself. At first, it took about 2 hours and 3 people, with pliers.
And all sorts of other things.
But then your hands get used to it. So that our dear viewers understand, this hand was made and remade. I don't even know, countless times. After all, prosthetic arms aren't really designed for someone like me. And that's why I'm telling you again, it's better to have your own scarred hand than some prosthesis, because your own hand heals on its own, but this one doesn't. And for example, for some reason, the wires always end up breaking off at some point. Inside, from the original mechanisms, only one finger and a gear remain.
The motor.
The original motor, I truly think, won't last much longer indeed. Furthermore, the manufacturer only gives a very short, just a mere 3-year warranty on it. It's already lasted 4 years, under the harshest operating conditions.
The inner part, which protects the upper part of the metal inside, constantly gets worn through at this spot. Yes, we usually sew it up, but this time we decided to try using sealant as a protective measure. It's patched up, there's a patch inside, and on top we covered it with sealant. It's elastic, kind of stretches. Well, it hasn't died yet. Let's continue the test.
By the way, do you believe in it when this happens?
Of course, there's absolutely no other possible way. You simply cannot put it on. The fingers are just far too close together. These index and middle ones. Without Crimea, it truly doesn't go on at all. Are there no napkins here? There should be some popular questions, like when one hand washes the other. Yeah, one hand washes the other. But it just simply hasn't fully dried out yet. You see, we only just put the skin on it yesterday, so it needs more time. It still hasn't completely dried. It's a special lubricant which is water-based, and it dries completely after a while.
Basically, if you don't grease it, it won't work.
It
It really doesn't work dry anywhere, basically. Not here, not there, not in any place at all. And you absolutely have to be extremely and indeed very gentle with it, or it will most definitely and certainly bite you. Yeah, here you have to force in the unforceable. That's done for obvious reasons. If it wasn't tight, it would just hang there like some saggy thing.
It would keep falling off all the time. Basically, pretty much.
So what do we have? A mini Kerminator.
Yeah. Of the original parts here, of the original, yeah. I think only this one here. No, custom made. This is
Aluminum, machined. Here is...
some custom machined. The mount is custom machined. The internal mechanism is original and intact. And the little motor. It's been resoldered more than once because the wires there rot away almost instantly. Still not entirely sure yet. Last time Dmitry Pavlovich really broke it quite badly. This specific part broke off. He snapped it? Yeah. There were metal cables inside. Apparently they go somewhere deep inside. Those cables, well, they really couldn't handle Dmitry Pavlovich's lifestyle either. No.
I was showing how to drift in a bathtub car and quickly grab the steering wheel. I'm heavy. And, well, that's how it happened. This also shows that even though the human hand is made of flesh, it's actually stronger than this piece of metal, because before there were pins here, probably made from D16 or something like that. And when riding the snowmobile, they broke. They made me new pins out of D16. They broke again. We got tired of this, so we machined them out of titanium at VVT 1.0, and so far, they're holding up more or less. This bracket here also cracked. We had to make a special punch for the press. We pressed it titanium 20 tons force. And we assembled it, we ended up with quick assembly mishmash. So far, it's working, but I haven't bent the pins yet. Why do I say you can do push-ups on it? Because I'm confident in it. Well, it's just that the mounting here still needs to be thought through somehow. I don't even know. Maybe make some extensions there, add some more stuff, basically maybe carbonize it.
Well, we did what we could. We cut it out. The assembly technology was the original one. That is to say, the internal component, the inner part, was most likely carefully inserted into the main body of the device sometime afterwards. So first, this specifically designed cable-mounted bracket was securely put into its designated place. Somehow these cables were glued in, and then they were pressed in at the shoulder. That's why we absolutely had to drill some necessary holes. Well, or holes, I don't even know what to call them. But we carefully drilled small, precise holes to stitch it all together securely, then with a strong cable.
A stainless one.
A stainless one, yes, quite. With a cable and, well, epoxy really came to the rescue, because otherwise, indeed, yeah.
Okay, let me set it down, but I'll show you how it works in this form. It looks really epic. Well, gentlemen, this particular hand, let me put it this way, it's truly like a Terminator's hand, without all of this unnecessary bulk. Actually, it possesses significantly more power in this specific configuration, and you genuinely don't have to meticulously squeeze the outer shell and so on. The overall look, of course, is a little bit scary, perhaps even intimidating, but that's precisely how it all effectively works. You can do it slowly or quickly. So, let's be clear. If I pinch right now, it's going to hurt a lot, because the contact area is small, but in general, it holds everything really well. You can even scratch everything like this. It's a really good thing. Honestly, I would absolutely walk around like this, but, it might genuinely scare people, especially the makers. And secondly, dirt could easily get in, and that would ultimately be the end of it. But for now, everything is working perfectly. We have all the necessary models for the CNC machine. I think if I... How many times a week am I going to break this? We will first need to locate and then carefully extract some suitable titanium, which we will then meticulously cut and shape. So this is precisely what it currently looks like. Well, at this very moment in time, how exactly should I articulate it? This represents the current state of bionic prosthetics at this particular moment. Truly, right now, there really isn't anything more intricately complex or remarkably advanced available out there in the field of medical technology. So right now, the company Ottobock has taken over the entire European market, and basically that's all there is. Well, there are some variations out there. There are indeed developments involving direct nerve connections, meaning quite invasive methods, but for now, until they successfully pass through extensive clinical trials and all that, well, that's certainly going to take a very long period of time. So basically, with these myosensors, just like they effectively did back in the 1970s, it's simply a matter of further, more advanced development. Batteries have improved, brushless motors are now used, some things have become lighter, but there hasn't been any major breakthrough. So similar prostheses have existed for quite a long period of time, but they greatly improved the daily lives of people who have lost their limbs. I also wanted to talk to you about the crucial accessibility and the general availability of prostheses. Well, a basic Ottobock prosthesis, something simpler than what we have here, will still cost about 1.2 to 1.5 million. But, for example, if we take the city of Moscow, in general, if you go through some kind of disability commission and so on, then as far as I know, the state actually reimburses up to 1.5 million rubles. Of course, it takes some time and effort and so on, but people, you truly have to fight for your own happiness yourself. Basically, in most cases, people receive a prosthesis and the state pays for about 2/3 of the cost. I bought this with my own money because I truly have it, but some other people don't. Nice. But you can get compensation from the state, that's normal. That's it. And once every 3 years, you'll be given a new prosthesis of this type. That's it. However, the primary mistake many people often make is that they acquire a prosthesis and then simply don't use it. That is, they use it for a couple of hours a day. They're afraid that something will break or get damaged. I truly think that's all quite bad, because you really need to get accustomed to it, and then it becomes your helpful assistant, not a burdensome chore. You can't just put it on merely once a week and expect to properly utilize it effectively. Let me repeat, during my entire working day, all daylight hours, as long as I'm not sleeping, I always wear my prosthesis. I don't go without it. With very rare exceptions, like if I rub my arm raw or take a bad fall somewhere. That actually happens to me quite often. Yeah. What else did I want to say? Are there any Russian manufacturers? Yes, there are indeed. People are trying hard, I won't name names. I have personally tried prostheses that were carefully made by them, but up to this present point in time, they still don't quite measure up to their Western counterparts, unfortunately. For example, the same Ottobock ones, they have their issues, but that's understandable. Ottobock has been around for over 100 years, while these guys, I'm not sure, maybe 7 or 8 years or 5, I can't say for sure. There is progress, people are working hard, coming up with new ideas. You also have to understand that there are a lot of things in this market, all sorts of patents. You can't just take and copy someone else's work. That would cause problems. You have to come up with your own solutions. But for now, it's still far from perfect. There are a lot of issues. And this kind of thing needs to be very ergonomic, otherwise you just won't be able to use it. So, things like proportional control, making sure the electronics work properly, and so on. There are enough problems even with these. For example, we had to redo the plines. Yeah. There's something else I want to add. So for people who, have had something bad happen to them, you shouldn't lose hope. The main crucial thing is, if your mind is still incredibly sharp, meaning if your brain isn't significantly damaged, or even if it is, but you can still genuinely think and process information, then you are truly alive. You just have to completely forget about what you were before. Like they wisely say, you absolutely cannot turn ground meat back into a perfectly formed whole steak. That's it. What's done is done. You absolutely have to keep living with it and truly enjoy life as it is. Well, that's basically it. With that, I'll say goodbye to you. If you have questions, leave them in the comments. Write to me and I'll answer. Thank you all. Subscribe.